Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. So it'll take you guys a few minutes to find me since I've finally gone live. I'm going to give it a second. So yes, once again, I had technical difficulties, so I apologize to everybody. But I left my streaming software running last week, and so a bunch of people were sitting there waiting for me to show forever. Okay, and I'm a little rushed now because I had to turn off everything and start over. But I haven't said anything useful yet, so people are coming in now. Jim CNY3 is in. Renee Cruz, Heart's Truth, Logical Danger, Moonbeam 123. I apologize, Moonbeam. You are very patient. It does actually supposed to show the start time, so if that happens again, you'll know. Dark Wolf's Den is in. Hello. Austin 108. Okay, let's see. I actually didn't even know all of my scrap papers because I got here so late too. All right, so let's see. Let's start with an interesting one. Dark Wolf, you already saw this one. Yes, you saw this one earlier. All right, you can see where I got that. Oh, the thumbnail image. I should chit chat about that. Yeah, I was just noticing that, I'm not up for a lot of sunsets, but when I am, I check them. And I've never had such a beautiful, bright sunset in my life, or sunrise, I should say, as this thumbnail. Open in a new image here so you can see it. Yes, this was the sunrise. That was this morning, actually. I stayed up so late that I caught the sunrise. But it was just neon. It was even brighter than this. The camera could not really process it. And that is actually something interesting too, because a couple years ago, I still had this same phone, and I would see these neon sunsets, not sunrise, but sunsets coming into the reality like I've never seen before. And I would take my phone and attempt to catch the beauty of them, and my phone just couldn't see it. It just wouldn't, like the red just wouldn't show in the image. No matter what I did, I couldn't get it to show. But I have noticed that in the last year, I have the same phone I've always had, but now the red does show. So I don't know if it's because there was a retroactive upgrade in my phone, or my phone was not able to catch stuff because the timeline wasn't set, but there's definitely something fishy because now it does a pretty good job of catching these. Normally it was sunsets, but I never used to have such beautiful sunrises. They're starting to rival the sunsets, which are already crazy. So I just really wanted to put that one in. So these sunrises haven't gotten the red all the way across to the other side of the sky yet, I don't think. But half of the sky is just still extremely amazing. In fact, let me just see how good it looks on my other screen. The laptop screen is starting. Yeah, okay. My laptop screen is getting a little off color and weak, so yeah, it was spectacular this morning. It just was so amazing. Never had anything like that on my original timeline. Not even 5% of that color, and not even in a sunset did I originally have. So it's pretty amazing. Let's see who's Renee Cruz is in. Jennifer Silvez. Yeah, so it was actually sunrise. That's the thing. That's the other thing that got me. We've had good sunsets for a while now. I've been watching the sunrises, and I haven't seen anything. I saw that it was starting to get red, but it wasn't. So I think we've kicked over to the amazing sunrises now to go with the amazing sunsets. All right, now for this weird one. So if you recall, we had some very strange Egyptian gods showing up. There was the one that looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost, the one that has a giant beetle fur ahead. So we have a new one. And this whole thing with the looks like Again, I feel like we're being trolled. Like you would never forget this if you ever saw it. Yet it's not a new discovery. Nehebkau is, I assume, how you say it. Somehow this just seems perfect for the timeline, Nehebkau. Have you guys ever seen this Egyptian god, which is basically a snake with feet? Nehebkau. Okay, maybe I wrote it down wrong. Nehebkau. Oh, here it says Nehebkau, but over there it says Nehebkau. Okay. Yeah, I was pretty careful when I wrote it down. Now I'm a little confused why there's a U over here, but not over here. Nehemiah, or Nemetawi. Still no idea why there's a U over there. Is this just timeline fishiness, or somebody was just sloppy? I don't know. Yeah, there's no U on anything. So you can see in the originals, again, it looks like a kid was goofing around. Let's see. So this is depicted in spell 87 of the Book of the Dead of Ani. The Book of the Dead of Ani. I remember the Book of the Dead. I do not remember the Book of the Dead of... no, it was the Book of the Dead. What is Book of the Dead of Ani? The Papyrus of Ani was created during the 9th. Egyptians compiled an individualized book for certain people upon their death. Ooh, wait a minute now. Called the Book of Going Forth by Day. More commonly known as the Book of the Dead, typically containing declarations and spells to help the deceased in their afterlife. The Papyrus of Ani is their manuscript compiled for the Theban scribe Ani. Okay, I only remember there being one Book of the Dead. I'm just seeing this right now. There was one Book of the Dead, not a special one for every dead person. I have never heard of that thing. There was the Book of the Dead, not a Book of the Dead. Known as the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead is an Egyptian funerary text generally written on papyrus and used for the beginning of the new kingdom. The original Egyptian name for the text is translated Book of Coming Forth by Day or Book of Emerging Forth. This is not at all what I remember. There was only one Book of the Dead. There wasn't... Okay. Okay, so that's why it's the Book of the Dead of Ani, because there's a different one for everybody now. All right. And there's like more gods than you can shake a stick at. And, okay. Yeah, do you guys remember there being multiple Books of the Dead, one for everybody? Does anybody remember seeing that thing as a god? Because I'm pretty sure you would. This is kind of interesting because I think I just saw more images when I just looked this up for somebody else an hour ago that I'm seeing now on here. There was that one, but there was more in here. All right, let's go back. Images. All right, here we go. The god who joined the Ka to the body, god of protection. One thing interesting in the thing was it was saying that this god was originally considered an evil spirit and then later became considered a good spirit. Okay, there it is in some, I guess that's wall art. I do feel like the wall art has improved in this timeline as far as the skill level. So there you've got the snake, you've got the feet. I guess the feet are a little longer in this one. This is weird because it looks like they put the knees in. I'm like, wait. I don't like. So the calf is here, and there's the knees. Shouldn't there be like shouldn't you put the knee in the middle? I mean, like something is wrong with the decision here. So he has to. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know why that bugs me, but. UFO over Vegas Strip. Oh, was there one? I don't even know what's going on. Necronomicon. All right. I've never heard of a book of the dead of anybody other than the Book of the Dead. So maybe they had to rename it. The Necronomicon is what? Let's see what we get for that. Also referred to as the Book of the Dead. All right, so there's two then? There's the Book of the Dead and then the Books of the Dead. Wait, no. No, this is some kind of fiction. The Book of the Dead was an Egyptian book. I don't know what this is. Necronomicon is a different thing. No, that's not what I'm thinking of. Necronomicon is not it. Okay. No, it was definitely Egyptian Book of the Dead, not that. Bad enough they had the one with the scarab head. Yeah, but did you see the one that looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost? That one was pretty bad too. Snake knees. Okay, so yeah, no, the Book of the Dead I'm talking about that I remember was Egyptian Book of the Dead. In fact, they would often call it the Egyptian Book of the Dead, not the Necronomicon. It was the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Let me just type that in and see what I get. Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's there. The entry is there, but the definition is not what I remember. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is a collection of spells, okay, yeah, which enabled the soul of the deceased to navigate the afterlife. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But it was like one set of them. The famous title was given the work by Western scholars. The actual title would translate as The Book of Coming Forth by Day, or Spells for Going Forth by Day. No. A more apt translation to English would be The Egyptian Book of Life, as the purpose of the work to assure one not only of the survival of bodily death, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Although the work is often referred to as the ancient Egyptian Bible, it is no such thing, although the two works share the similarity of being ancient compilations of text written at different times, eventually gathered together in book form. The Book of the Dead was never codified, and no two copies of the work are exactly the same. See, now that doesn't even make sense. I mean, why would you have the Book of the Dead when there's no book and it's not a book, and there's not even one set of anything. That would just be like a pile of spells. I mean, they would never, that, okay. Gonna try not to go off on the soapbox, but this has really changed for me. And it was not the Book of Life. I do like that better. The Book of Life sounds nicer. The coming forth by day, the spells for going forth by day. That's actually just kind of weird. Spells for going forth by day. Like, what happened? I mean, does it... That sounds like it's something from... I don't know. That just doesn't sound right. You died. Now you're in heaven. Did they have like heaven is the day? I don't know. None of that makes any sense to me. This is kind of flipping me out. So this is me finding a new Mandela effect while looking at another one that I just found earlier today. The scribe would need to know what kind of life the person had lived in order to surmise the type of journey they could expect after death. Then the appropriate spells would be written specifically for that individual. The spells and passwords are not part of a ritual. This is all wrong. Okay. This is not right for me. I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but that's not how it was for me. Okay, so yes, anyways, a couple of them there. I still can't get over that he's got knees. Give him a whole leg or something. How are you going to walk? It's going to be like walking on stilts or something if you don't have knees. That's like so wrong. All right. I remember the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and it had pictures of dead people. The Tibetan Book of the Dead. Yeah, I have heard of that one. But see, they do remember, it is in the histories that there was an Egyptian Book of the Dead. It is there. But then it says, well, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is actually not a book, and it was never codified, and it's different forever. So the timeline vestiges are there. It's just gone. All right, where am I? I'm kind of discombobulated today. Okay. So we have got to have something creepy, like that's not right, but more real life creepy. It's not. I don't know. It's not super creepy. It's kind of cool. I don't know. Something about things being bright blue. Just make them less creepy. Pteris walkeris. It's Pteris walkeris. This is the scientific name, I guess. Pteris walkeris. Terra walks. It doesn't walk, though, so... This is kind of along the same lines as this god thingy. Actually, now that I'm looking at this. Terra... God, I can't spell it. Terra... Ere... I can't read my writing. I don't know if it's an R or a V. Reg and I. We'll try that. Let's say it's an R. Pteris walkeris, Terra reginae. Is that it? Yes, I believe so. So this one's interesting because I can't hardly find any photos of it. There's only like a couple. And it's a giant blue Queensland earthworm. This one comes, well, Bill Knight was just talking about giant earthworms. And when I looked into it, I don't know if this is the one he was talking about. And there are bigger ones, but I just don't remember this one. It's like neon blue for starters. Let's see it over here. Supposedly they get up to 2 meters long, so that's 6 feet long. It's neon, well, not neon, but it is really blue. Now I'm trying to figure out how this fat guy also is these skinny guys here. And there's only a couple images. I mean, like, I don't see how there's not more images. So there's a pen. So this is a tiny one for these, because what, a pen, it's only going to be that long. So this is what, like a foot and a half long here. And they get to be 6 feet long. So this is going to be a dinky one. Looks like they're pretty fat. So giant Queensland earthworm. They've known about them since 1890. No one knows why it's blue. Apparently, as far as they know, it's not poisonous or anything. I mean, it's underground. What would be the point of being blue? This one is also interesting because I couldn't, I think this one I couldn't find a wiki for it. And here is supposedly something else eating a blue one, like it's some kind of a leech eating a worm or something. But look, there's like almost no images of it. There's like, here's one more, I think. Image, a new tab. So there's one more, but you can really see the little crosshatch patterns on that guy. Then there's that one, then there's that one, and that's like it. And I guess they live in Queensland. So I've been kind of watching these worm things. Now these are pretty awesome, and there are a lot of articles on it. Big blue earthworms. But there's no wiki for it. You'd think they would have a wiki. Plus it's called Terrace Walkeris, and I'm like, it doesn't walk. It is a kind of an earth thing, Terra. Terrace Walkeris terragini. It looks like delicious candy. Here's another weird story. Okay, some places say it's a rumor that it releases bioluminescent slime paths as it goes. Other places are reporting that as if it's true, that it does release bioluminescent slime paths. So I'm going to make a prediction that this is going to be true down the line, most likely, if it's not already. This little known zoological morsel is easily overlooked when it considers the more charismatic elements of the fauna, such as koalas and kangaroos. No, I think that a 6-foot-long blue worm is fairly interesting. When we think of large earthworms, we are perhaps considering species growing in excess of 30 centimeters, 1 foot or so in length. All of these species belong to the family Megascolicidae. Blah, blah, blah. All right, now we're talking about all these giant earthworms. So there's so many now, but I don't recall there being a like really bright blue one that looks like, it looks like a gummy worm. You know, when I saw this, I'm like, is this even real? The gummy worms are coming to life is my feeling on this. What the heck is that thing? This is all in Spanish. So yeah, the Tamagotchis and the Pokemon and the gummy worms, they're all becoming real. So there's your gummy worm. I think we're going to need to have the other colors. Mystery blue worm is a fishing lure. Now I want to click on that. I found this worm hanging in an oak tree. Can't find any info about it, hoping you can help. Well, that looks like it's it. Does not look natural. All right, so that's just a fishing lure. It just happens to look exactly like a giant Queensland blue worm. All righty. They do not look like candy. Yes, they do. They look like gummy worms. All right. All right. Maybe not that one. That one doesn't look like a gummy worm. But I would argue that that looks, all right, blue gummy worm. Maybe I'm just exaggerating. Oh, it does. It looks like a gummy worm. It does. It looks like a blue gummy worm. I'm sticking by my story. Walmart, world's largest gummy worm. Up, that page is missing. Well, that stinkers. All right, let's try this one. This is probably going to be missing also. Yep, it's missing. It's so wrong. Open image in a new tab. Here we go. All right, I'm saying this is a Walmart gummy worm. And that is a Queensland blue gummy worm. I will argue that they're not that different. That even in some ways looks more fake in some ways. And also, these are larger. That's the only stop. Well, gummy worms aren't my favorite, but they're not horrible. Yeah, where's Shari? Maybe I screwed her up by being 2 hours late. Except for I wasn't really late, but the show was early. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The show was early. Yes, it gets the actual Queensland blue, giant blue Queensland earthworm gets 6 feet long. And it's interesting because there's no images of it 6 foot long, and there's only a few of the images. So I feel like this is pretty hot off the presses. I couldn't find a wiki for it, yet it came right up when I did searches for large worms. Shari must be sick of my lack of technical prowess. I will never work for the CIA, obviously, because they'd be like, you're out. Extra gore snake monster. Yeah, really. You know, we do have like small versions of that thing that Jabba threw them into that sandworm pit, whatever they call that. We have like a bunch of small versions of that. I wonder how big they're going to get long term. Gummy worm nightmares. I hope it doesn't make it here to Perth. You know it's gonna. You think it's gonna stay in Queensland, or you'll get your own version. It'll be like purple and green or some ridiculous thing. I just can't get that scared of a blue gummy worm thing though. I somehow, if it was flesh colored, that would be way worse. All right, I'm going to close off all these. All right, so we got blue gummy worms. We have and snakes with legs. All right, this one, I don't have a lot of them today, actually. It has been kind of slow. This is kind of a question I'm getting about maybe 2/3 new time, current timeline, 1/3 old timeline. So for this question, I will ask you to not answer with any info you've heard in the last five-ish years or something. So you have to kind of go back a way. So if you've heard this in the last 5 years, you're probably going to hear it new timeline. I don't think this one changed recently. I just figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out, but I saw it recently. And it actually came from somebody on Red-shanked with username Anubis Witch. Okay. And the question is, for you cat lovers, like kitty cats, domestic, which used to be Felis domesticus in the old days, but is now, I believe, scientifically always been Catus catus, but once upon a time in another timeline was Felis domesticus, common house cat. At what age do you have to start worrying about the kittens being able to get pregnant? When is the cutoff when you're like, now it could happen? And like I said, if you've heard just the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, don't count that one. You got to go back, I think, a ways on this one. I think this is an older Mandela. I just didn't catch it. I'm not even touching that one. That one there, Capalicious. Yeah, I'm not going there. We're already talking about cats getting pregnant. That's enough of that. What is there, like some kind of triple theme in these three? I'm like, I'm trying to look ahead to what I have left to see if it fits. It doesn't. The theme doesn't carry on too much further, I don't think. Look what the season dragged in. Yeah. Look what the Mandela dragged in. That's it. Look what the Mandela dragged in. It dragged in cats. Yeah, I don't know. Look what the Mandela. I like that one. I'm going to have to steal that one. Look what the season. Joe Bloor, I'm stealing that one. I'm going to try to remember to give you credit, but I probably will forget. But here, let it be forever known that Joe Bloor invented the look what the something dragged in. I live in the Netherlands and I'm preparing to immigrate to the USA. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't think it'll be too hard to be here because, you know, a lot of the stuff on TV, it's like, I think a lot of other countries think that that's our life, you know, like gun violence and stuff. But frankly, I've lived my entire life here and all that stuff I see on social media, I've never actually encountered any of that. I've never seen it with my own life. I maybe if you lived in like the total ghetto area, you'd see a lot more gun violence, like the poorest areas and stuff. And once in a while, you'll hear a gun go off, and it's like somebody shooting squirrels or something, and it'll be out in the distance. But I don't know if I don't think I've ever seen anyone rob with a gun, shoot a gun for anything other than hunting. You know, all that crazy stuff. You just don't really see that. Preliminal, yes, the elephant parts. Yeah, I haven't actually looked on that one. One thing I have noticed is how elephants have continued to get more hairy. You could definitely notice that elephant. I've had that on before. My old elephants were just gray skin. They didn't have hair. But they are definitely getting hairy. They're like turning into woolly mammoths. And then woolly mammoths have turned into an upgraded caricature of their old self. So elephants are turning into woolly mammoths. Woolly mammoths are turning into extreme woolly mammoths. So I'm more seeing it with the baby elephants, but I think we're going to see it spread. Baby. Okay, let me just type in baby. I'm not seeing it on the big ones. And that seems to be one way that stuff sneaks in here. Of course, now I don't find any. That stuff sneaks in as you see it on the babies a bunch. Here we go. So note that I only typed in baby elephant. I didn't type in anything about hair. Whereas before I was. So this is interesting. I have it. So before there was hair, I saw some, but it would like flop down. Look, it's getting a beard too. Look, so there's hair and a beard. So I've noticed that, and they play with balls. I've noticed a lot of animals play with balls now that I've never heard of playing with balls, like horses and goats, and all these things like to play soccer now, apparently, in elephants. So what happens is these changes are put on the babies first. And you're like, oh, well, you know, they're different than they're older. And then slowly it sneaks on to the adults. Looks like this one's pretty hairy. Oh, you can't see it too well, but there's a lot of hair right here and down there. So it looked like they are getting like beards too. They're getting woolly. They're like woolly. They're developing woolliness. So they've gotten the massive tusks that I just remember them having, like these little tusks, and now they're these huge woolly mammoth tusks, and now they're getting, this guy's got wool on his back. It's not just on the head, there's a whole bunch on the chin here. Of course, we've got different kinds of elephants, so I'm wondering if one is going to be the woolly guys, and then maybe the others are not known for it. Look, he's all on the back, all on the chin. So yeah, we're getting woolly mammoths. I swear we are. Of course, the females now can have tusks also. The female tusks are like the male tusks used to be. This guy's pretty hairy. I think that's the one I just covered, didn't it? In it. All right, but some of them still aren't. But what I'm just seeing is I'm just running into it like more and more. Whoops, I wanted cancel. It kind of looks like the same guy again. Now look at this now. This female is pretty hairy here. I'm assuming this is a female, but there's a lot of hair on this one too now. Here and here. So we're getting like a hairy version. It does not look like a scientific article though. Here's another one. Baby elephant born in German zoo. A lot of dark hair here. Boink. Yeah. He's hairy all over. Look, he's got hair on the tail. There's hair on the body. He's getting... This guy's quite woolly. Baby male elephant born April 13th. Not much info on there. But he's quite hairy. All right, so you get the idea. I think woolly mammoths are coming back, but they're just going to be called regular elephants. All right, let's just get a close-up on one of these. Looks like not hairy. Is it just because it's a different kind now? Looks like there might be a little hair on the... There looks like there's some maybe hair on the tail, some there. But the rest of them, no. So I don't know what's going on, why some have it and some don't. Here's another guy that has it. A lot. And so when I first covered this, I could only find like maybe two babies that had it, and I had to type in the word hair. And now I don't have to. Look, oh, he's got a bunch on the lower jaw area also. So yeah, that's evolving. All right. Yeah, they're called caddis last I checked. Domestic Cat Wiki. I remember Felis domesticus. In fact, that was always a joke that I would just say that damn, oh, it's Felis caddis? No, it was caddis last I checked. It's always changing. Felis caddis. No, it was caddis. I think it's changed again. It was definitely Felis domesticus, though, originally. Because that was just something that we would call our cats. And I looked up to make sure it was accurate and stuff. So, ooh, interesting. So it's Felis caddis now. It is a domestic species of small carnivorous mammal. The only domesticated species in the family Felidae. Felis cat. Okay. So caddis is gone. Interesting. It was definitely Felis domesticus, though. I'm wondering if maybe it will not always be the only domesticated cat And that's why Domesticus had to go. Kind of looking ahead, taking a little bit of a wild guess here. You got a different man, blah, blah, elephants with boot. Yes, get your cat spayed or neutered. Okay, so long time ago when I was in college, I worked at Petco. I actually worked there twice. I worked there at least a year. I think it was longer. Then I got a better job somewhere else. And then after I graduated, I had 2 jobs for a while. I think I even had 2 jobs. Oh yeah, that was what it was. The second time, the new job I got was closing down for a month. I went back to my old job and said, hey, I can work for a month if you want me, because I was already trained, and they did. They needed help. It was like Christmas. So I worked there for a month again. And then I ended up working both of them for a while. So I was at Petco for quite a long time, and we had rescue groups there, mostly all cats, doing cat rescue right out at the store. I kind of learned a lot about cat rescue, and at that time, and I've had cats, including during that time, we were always told you get your cats neutered at 6 months. It was always 6 months, because 6 months, they wanted them to develop as much as they could, but you got it done before they could get pregnant, before they would be mature enough to spray. Like, it was always 6 months. That was the magic number, 6 months. But now the kittens can get fully pregnant at 4 months. The females can go into heat and get pregnant at 4 months. So you have to do it at like 3 months now. So before, you wouldn't get anything till about 7 months. We're at 4 months now. So it's like half. It's almost half. It's like 40% faster. So they are, to me, now granted, this was quite a while ago, so maybe it's been shifting slowly, but what happened for me was it was always 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. And then they started saying, well, we're going to start doing it at 8 weeks. And the argument was that we don't want to adopt out kittens that aren't fixed, because if we trust them to wait till 6 months and do it, and then maybe they don't, and then they end up with a million more cats because they didn't get them fixed. So we're just gonna do it at 8 weeks, 2 months. And it was pretty controversial at the time, because you were doing it before they were developed, and they're like, well, what's going to happen? Is this going to blunt their growth? It looks like the males don't get as big a head because they don't have their testosterone as they develop, and all this stuff. And then the rescues are like, look, it's worth it because we want to cut the population, and we got to do this, and we don't want to leave any cats go out of the rescues or the pound without being fixed, right? Because there's too many strays. So they did it. That was the argument then. It's just to prevent strays. But now I'm looking back and I'm going, because that was the beginning of doing it earlier and earlier and earlier. And now suddenly, well, I don't know, it's not sudden, but we're at a point now where cats can go pregnant at 4 months, which seems crazy to me. It was crazy. So now they're like, well, people used to do it at 6 months, but that's too long. Well, we did it at 6 months because it wasn't too long. Because you can bet your butt that nobody wants an in-heat female cat in their house. There is no way we're going to wait for 6 months if there is any chance whatsoever that an effing cat is going into heat in your house. It would have always been 3 months if cats were going into heat. And these are rescues. They've dealt with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cats. They would never say 6 months, but they all said 6 months back then. So I'm calling some kind of Mandela evolution, and it may not be recent at all. Like I said, this is a long time ago, but you can still see that it says, oh, well, they used to do it 6 months, but they were stupid is the short version of it. No, we weren't stupid. That was the good time back then. Oh yeah, that's right. If you're coming here, you probably had to get the pokety, right? Because I think, the pokety in the arm. I think last I checked, non-citizens couldn't come in here without the pokety. Did they change it? Yeah, that's what Heart's Truth is acting about. Because last I heard, you still need it, and we were one of the last countries to not pull that, which sucks. I mean, then again, in a lot of countries, it's probably easier to get fake paperwork. I don't know about the Netherlands, though. You guys may not be crooked enough. Like, if you go to, like, Mexico, you could get fake paperwork pretty easy for just about anything. The Netherlands, it may not be that easy if you don't have the right connections. There are EU countries without vax requirement as well. Yeah, so I think a lot of places you have to have a negative test still, but I don't know too many that you actually have to have the poketies. And, a lot of people don't want to get it because they got sick from the first one and then they got COVID anyway, so what's the point? So there's a lot of people going, I don't want to get another one of those stupid things and feel sick for 3 days or whatever. I know a guy from Norway, he just immigrated. Nobody on his flight got checked. Another lady I know just entered the U.S. without getting checked. The jab enforcement is Swiss cheese right now. That's interesting. I'll enter the U.S. without any test and no jab ever. Huh. Well, more power to you, definitely. I'm going to love... And North Carolina, yes, I'm very sure I'm... Okay, you're going to North Carolina. Yeah, I think the Carolinas are kind of older school. I really don't know a ton about the Netherlands. And I do think a lot of those countries are not at all the countries that I once knew. So even what I did know before is probably just not... It's not at all valid. Like the Netherlands itself are... like a different shape. They're a different part of Europe. I mean, it's all different. I still have to take a COVID-19 test negative. Yeah, that's what I figure. I think at least some places are letting people do the spit test where instead of having the thing stuffed up your nose, you can spit into a tube and then they test that. Egyptian Mao kitties. I just looked up Egyptian Mao kitties. Well, we're on this Egyptian. What's an Egyptian Mao kitty? Egyptian Mao kitty. Cat. I assume a kitty means cat. Egyptian Mao cat. A little bit of a spelling there. Mao cat. Are we going to get those cats with those... No, those were dogs that had those big giant ears and stuff. Where's my images here? Is it the dogs with the huge ears and the long tail? Egyptian Mao cats. Okay, they just like cats. Are these some kind of wild cat or are they a domestic? There's so many wild cats now that look like domestic cats. There didn't used to be. Cat breed. Okay, so they are a... Phyllis Caddis, I think we're at. I can't believe Caddis is gone. It just kind of shows the timeline can't decide. It went from Felis domesticus to Caddis. Now we're at Felis Caddis. So we backslided on the Felis. Small to medium, short-haired cat breed. Naturally spotted breeds of domesticated cat. Yeah, there wasn't really a spotted breed other than those ones that were crossbred with that wild cat, and that's how they got the spots. Let's see if we have the wiki here. So are they saying that this is also crossbred with a wild cat, or what's the deal here? One of the few natural breeds... Spotted breeds of domestic cat. Yeah, I'm real suspicious about these because I thought there was really no Felis catus, domestic cat breeds with the spots until they crossbred with wild cats to get that. Fastest of the domestic cats. Unique flap of skin extending from the flank to the back knee, which assists in running by allowing the legs to stretch back further, providing greater agility. What? What? That doesn't make sense to me. So basically, in order to have your legs go all the way back, you need a flap of skin. You can't just have, like, that's not what stops an animal from stretching its legs way back. There's plenty of animals that can stretch their leg way, 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 way back, and they do not have a flap of skin there to allow that. So that's weird. I don't see how having a flap of skin flapping in the wind is going to help you run faster. It's kind of weird. So when did I first hear about Mao? I think, when was that? A couple years ago, maybe. An Egyptian breed. Historical evidence points to Mao being Egyptian. Closely related to Maine Coon and Korat, Turkish Angoras. This is interesting because when I was looking at Mao's like a couple years ago, I remember them being striped. And the stripes would break up a little, but I didn't really see any that were truthfully spotty. It kind of seems like they're getting more spotty. I think that's what's throwing me off, because it was like stripes with a couple broken up spots. And they looked more like my cat at the time than they do now. Oh, all right, anyway. So they have to be on a leash. Did they say why? Because they'll just what? Like, they won't come back? I don't know why else you'd put a cat on a leash. Yeah, Savannah cats. That's it. That's the only ones I remember that were really spotted. And then the Maos, they were like stripy, but there would be breaks. That's how I remember them a couple years ago. I think they might be moving towards the spotting. You will love San Diego. So much great Mexican. We do have good Mexican food. In fact, I'm just kind of spoiled because I just grew up with Mexican food. Like, there's like these burrito places just around, like Albertos and Gilbertos, and some of them are like 24 hours. The food is not expensive. It's not fancy, like these are shacks, but the food is delicious. And you can just like drive up, and they're either open late or really late or all the time. And you can just get a big bunch of food that tastes good for not that much money. And you're either going to have to take it home and eat it, or you're going to eat it at some little rickety table or bench outside, but it's good food. It's good food for cheap. And those are the best places. And I'm trying to think if there's any sit-down places. There's like maybe one or two sit-down places that are equivalent, but you pay 3 times more for the right to sit down. So it's just not worth it. It was a breeder in Melbourne. She wouldn't let you buy a Mao unless you only took it outside on a leash. Okay. There's a lot of breeders that just don't ever have outside cats. So that might just be it. Like the cat, these really active cats are hard to have in the house because they get bored really easily. And they just, they have the hunting urge. And yet you've got the belief system that you should never let cats out because they catch too many creatures and they could get hurt. And I don't know. I just have a hard time with that because I just don't know how you're going to have like a Savannah cat or an Egyptian Mao and keep it satisfied in the house, even if so a friend of mine had, I believe it was a Savannah, and you could just never satisfy that cat. I would cat sit for her sometimes, and she, you get the cat toys and you're trying to, but after a while the cat's like, yeah, that's old. I don't want a cat toy. I'm bored. And they would just look at you like all mad because they had a lot of energy and they were bored and you were boring and they just weren't satisfied. So they did used to take it out on a leash, but then it would wiggle out of its, I think you need to have like the Iron Maiden harness for cats because they're so good at wiggling out of stuff. They should make special impossible to get out of harnesses for cats, but they don't. So they almost lost their cat once because it got scared and wiggled out of its harness. So there's that problem. I just don't know how you can make these cats happy unless you had like a mansion, and I don't know even then if they would be. Yeah, like Renee said. So they got away with like a full harness, but like you said, at one time it did get away. I think it's possible to make like a whole closed outfit, like shirt thing with some straps and, probably you could hold them in that way, but it would have to be a pretty nice little kit, if you pardon the pun. Yeah, they need to go out and hunt and do their little territory cat games and cat crimes. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't get one because I just saw how hers was, and it was a real smart cat, a beautiful cat. I loved her cat, but I could just see that cat was never satisfied. The domestic, lazy slob cats are easy to satisfy because they just don't have the drive for constant stimulation that these more wild kitties do. At least if you get like a primitive breed dog, you can take them to the dog park, you can take them to the beach. They come when you call mostly, at least they don't ditch you. So there's options to, we have dog beaches here. It has cliffs, so the dog can't run out into the street because there's a, 10-story high cliff there blocking them. You'd have options, but for cats, you don't really have options. Okay, got you, horses. So this is kind of a little one, but I've just been noticing lately. This is something I've been watching for ever since the Mandela came out. Like horse breeds keep showing up. Newer, nicer ones. So like I was just reading that the Shire horse was the biggest horse breed, and then 2 weeks later there's another biggest horse breed, and it's like, wait, that one I've never heard of. I thought it was Shire horse. Now it's this other guy, and I forgot the name of it. But that wasn't actually the point. The point was, and I keep looking at horses for like years now, and I watch it on TV, and lately it's really been bugging me because I keep seeing these horses and I'm like, what's wrong with that horse? I don't think is that fat one real? It's not actually that fat, is it? Overweight horses are real. Oh my God. Is that real? Is a horse really that fat? I think everything can get fat in this timeline. Is that a real fat horse or is it exaggerated? I'm not sure. That might not. I don't know if that's a real image or not, or if it's photoshopped. I have never seen one even half that fat, even the pregnant ones. But okay, so the point I'm trying to get to, if I ever get to it here, is lately I've been looking at horses and I'm just like, what's wrong with that horse? And the reason why, because the ears, they're just getting longer and longer. And a lot of them are getting more and more of this curved in thing. And now they have certain breeds that have that. And they'll even like touch in the middle. Like, so the ears will come around and they'll actually come all the way around and I'm like, that does not make any sense. The ears are interfering. So there's been a number of times in the last few months where I'm like, I see a horse and I wonder if it's like half donkey because the ears, not like this one's getting there. When I see one like this, I'm like, does that guy have donkey in it or something? I mean, it's not a pure horse? What is wrong with you? Open a new tab. And so that just kind of like this guy, those ears, it looks too long. It doesn't look right. And when the ears are long, it starts looking like a donkey. I feel like there's just been too many lately where I'm like, are you part donkey? See if I can find one of those ones where the ears stick together. The other thing I've seen lately also that I haven't seen in past years, but just this last year is how horses used to bite you, it would hurt. It could get infected. But they didn't used to be strong enough to actually bite you and then pitch you across the room. And now they can do that. So hopefully they're not, the majority of them are going to continue to be nice horses because they can actually take you and toss your hiney right now. You do not want to mess with them. This the strength of them, I think. I'm going to go to Google because for some reason I wasn't getting very many images. The internet is like used to be able to type horses and you could get 20,000 images of horses, but no more. See, even this guy, he's got those. There didn't used to be horses with this much awesome hair, I have to say, too. Like, yet the other thing I've been noticing. I've been watching videos of horses, and the tail comes all the way down to the ground, and it's not even straggly at the ground. It even looks like they had to trim it like it would have drug on the ground for, like, you know, like the train on a wedding dress or something. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because, you know, in the wild, you would have a heck of a time maintaining such a mane and tail. But they're just so long now. And we just didn't have that. So unless they suddenly managed to breed a giant ton of super long-haired horses, I mean, like this, I mean... It's too long. I'm sorry. It's just, they weren't like that before. And it's not just like you wonder if maybe some of these are photoshopped. I'm actually watching video of horse training and trainers, and these are, you know, high-end horses, but they are not the top horse in the whole world or anything. They are just somebody that had enough money to hire a trainer. This is not like the top breeding location in the world or anything. It's some dude in the UK who had a problem with his horse. And yet I'm watching this horse strut around the round pen with the tail that goes all the way to the ground and is thick at the ground. And this is a tall horse too. It is not like a pony. And that's a whole nother issue with the ponies. So yeah, ears, big. Tail, big. The mane, big. Not you. We already did you. Boop. It's not loading. So, I mean, it's awesome. See, look at the ears even on that guy. I'm like, he's part donkey. All right, anyway, you get the picture. I could go on forever. Mauser. Oh, JoJo's is in. Hey, JoJo's. Mauser are extremely active and don't get along with other cats. You know, I have to say, most cats don't get along with other cats. So, I know yours, like Super, doesn't get along with other cats, but it's not really all that weird even with other cats. So, you probably need to have more than one to really, really know. My cat is actually kind of a weirdo because he is actually fairly okay at getting along with other cats. He will make friends with neighbor cats, hang out with them. Sometimes he pesters them and pisses them off a little bit, but overall, mostly because he's active. But he's kind of a funny story. I don't know if I think I've told like a few people on here, but the kitty he's gotten, the neighbor got two goats, and the goats like to climb up on their picnic table over there and sleep with their back to back. And it's been chilly because it's winter. So our cat has managed to suck up to these goats enough to get them to let him sit either on top of their two backs or squished between them. And, you know, he probably just pestered them into it by waiting until they lay there and then sneaking up until they quit running away. But apparently the other day, Dave saw him. He went up and he was sleeping between the goats, and he got so snobby and lazy that he forgot that they're not couches. And he stretched out and he did his big cat stretch, and then he did his claws. You know how cats sometimes do where they flex. And he flexed his claws into this goat's butt. That goat was very angry, jumped off, headbutted the cat, and then stomped away. So yeah, the cat got into hot water. The other goat didn't know what happened, so it was like, what? Hopefully our cat will be more careful in the future. Do not sink your claws into the poor goat's butt. My gray cat climbed onto a raft in our swimming pool and just floated around. Huh, that's pretty brave, actually. I'm sure he could probably swim fine, but, you know, they don't like to get wet, so they're like, what do I do now? Christopher Reeves. Yeah, the S is gone off of Christopher Reeves. Sally Fields. The S is gone off Sally Fields. It doesn't like S's here, does it? So yeah, you know, like Black Beauty and that show, you would think that they would have gotten a really awesome black horse with a giant ton of mane and tail, but nope. Of course, maybe they did in this timeline. I haven't really went back, but those tails, they went down maybe 2/3 to the ground, and they would taper off, and that was it. That's all you got out of a horse tail. You didn't have it go. You know, and these are tall, big horses. You wouldn't have the tail go all the way down to the ground and actually fluff out, you know, on the ground like that. It's amazing what. I kind of feel like they're toddling because there's this giant tail going bloop, 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 bloop. I'm like, they're going to trip on that mess. There's so much down there on some of these horses. Like even this one, it looks long to me. I feel like it would have ended right about there. See what other ones. Now that's not a real image. This is kind of more like it here. This is how I remember it. It just would go down to here, and that was like it. But now that one's kind of seeming paltry compared to a lot of the ones we see. That's how they all were, though. The Frisians, yes, they have beautiful tails. All right, anyway, so there we go. Horses, donkeys. I think I'm almost done. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Got a couple more. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but I have said over the years that the sky used to be black for me originally. Speaking of black, the sky was black, and the moon and the stars, of course, you would see them, but they didn't used to lighten the background. They were like diamonds on a black velvet. You can put a diamond on a black velvet, but the diamond does not light up the black velvet. That's how the stars were. The whole sky wouldn't light. So, like when the full moon came out, the whole sky looked black like velvet up there. But down here, we could see better. Like the light would shine on us, but it didn't lighten the sky for me. It was always black. And when the storms came over, that wouldn't glow or anything. They would be black. It would look black up there, and you couldn't see the stars because the clouds would blot it out. So the way you knew that there was clouds up there is you look up and not see stars, or maybe just see stars and little holes in the clouds. And that would tell you that there was clouds up there. So that's all changed. You know, the clouds now glow kind of weirdly brightly. And for quite a number of years now, the moon would come up and brighten up the sky. Itself would look very gray and at times almost like a navy blue. Even at night, it would look navy blue up there. Like you could see a little of the color of the sky. So the last couple of weeks, though, I've noticed that the night sky got dark again. Now it's almost like last night, I believe it was, the night before. It was almost black again. Like it was really close. It was really close to the old way, and I haven't seen that in years. So the night sky. And it's sort of weird because I feel like we were heading in one direction and now I'm kind of backtracked on that or something. I mean, like South America hasn't moved west again though. That's still cruising. But so I don't know what's going on, but I haven't seen this dark a sky in many years, this night sky. We're almost the whole way back. So what is different though is even when the moon is gone and the sky now looks dark, like the velvet is black. I say that just as a term. I'm not saying there's velvet up there, but I can still see down here though. It used to be that if this moon was gone from the sky, I couldn't see down here. I can still see down here though. I don't need a flashlight. Like you don't need a flashlight at night anymore. You can always see. And the clouds are still glowing, but I'm getting the blackness back, which is, I didn't think I would see that again. I thought we were on like a track to a lighter and lighter sky. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. So I had mentioned this on the Chit Chat, and one other person in the Chit Chat did notice the same thing, that suddenly the sky went to the darkerness again. I need to write down the shifts and changes when they occur. You know what the problem is that your old writing will change. So if you say, like, if you write down, such and such is now in the Bible, okay? And then later it stops being in the Bible. If you go back, you may not find that you wrote that down anymore. I mean, we've seen this. Like, you can't track these because the evidence disappears. Either you can't find the entry's gone, or it's altered. If you really write sloppy cursive, you might be able to get away with it. That would be my best bet on trying that. Sometimes the cursive manages to dodge the bullet. Like, it's so sloppy that the Mandela can't read it. That would be your best try. But yeah, too many M's to write down. Yep. Black light satellite. How do we get on that? Yeah, yeah. I've had that on. To me, it has looking more spaceshipy than it used to. It used to be this long thing, and now it looks like a little spaceship. So, noctilucent clouds. Yeah. So technically, they're not noctilucent clouds because there's another one that's even brighter that's called noctilucent. But yes. The clouds are glowing. They won't call them noctilucent, but they are glowing. Oh, so the Chit Chat, it's just like the backstage lounge for Rippin' Rabbit Hole, which is a Dark Wolf. So the Dark Wolf Den show, he broadcasts on Rippin' Rabbit Hole. And Ripon is like a city, I believe that's in Wisconsin. And there's a school that hosts this radio facility, radio broadcasting facility. And they just broadcast shows. So Dark Wolf's show is on there. He's got a couple shows, including the paranormal show that he also has it on YouTube, but his main audience is actually on the radio. And if you go to ripinrabbithole.com, there's a backstage lounge. And if you click on that, then there might be people back there chit-chatting. And it's like the rabbit hole. So a lot of times we'll talk about Mandelas and weird stuff. And there's a lot of conspiracy theory. And be advised that it is also tends to be heavily Republican oriented. So I'm not really like any one direction, but I do love me a good conspiracy theory or talking about the Mandela or whatever. So that's the Chit Chat. That's why I call it the Chit Chat. So yeah, if you go there, you're gonna have to tolerate a lot of paranormal stuff and probably a lot of Republican stuff. But if you think you can handle it, So I'm just there sometimes, and then there's other people there sometimes. And they'll also talk about the shows, what's going on. And lately there's been more political stuff on there, just because, the whole lockdowns and everything has kind of politicized a lot of stuff. Lion shall lay down with the lamb, now change to the wolf. Yeah, Jerry. Dark Wolf is in there now. Dark Wolf is in the in the Bible. So it's just random. Sometimes you'll go in the rabbit hole, the backstage lounge, and nobody will be there. It's just, who's doing what at the time. Yeah, so Dark Wolf has put the link in there. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Some links work right out of the chat and some don't. Yeah, this one looks like it works. So Ripon is Ripon, and that's the city. It's like kind of a little smaller city. Kind of, the old school, a little more rural with the little stores and and it's got a lot of history. So there's a lot of like really old houses there, like 100 years old kind of thing. And interesting things have happened there. It's not like California. So if you go to there's Ripon. And then if you go to here on the top, it'll be backstage 24/7 lounge. So it's open 24/7, but you may not find anybody in there. And, it's going to be pretty boring if nobody's in there. And every now and then the system is down for something, but rarely. So you click on here, and then it'll ask about your video and audio, and you don't have to enable those. But if you don't, then you're going to be typing in the corner, and it's hard to really partake in the conversation if you don't have at least audio on. So you can. Because by the time you type in your stuff and someone reads it, the conversation is 3 minutes past that, and that's a long time in conversation land. I had to open my Holy Bible, American Revised Edition, used by college students, and it changed before my eyes. Yep, and it continues changing. The Matrix is in the Bible, and unicorns. Yeah, that's in there. All kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, JoJo's is in the backstage lounge a lot. Mod JoJo's. Hold on. Derp. I think it's there. Should I put JoJo's in timeout or make her a moderator? We'll spin the dice and see. JoJo's like, "Ree." She's gonna sick that Mao cat on me. Everything happens. It could be that everything happens in some timeline far, far away. Even Star Wars could have happened. I don't know. Time out, Bill. Bill is in there sometimes, although his schedule is not ideal. I think Bill is just waking up right now, and usually we're out of the lounge by the time, because we're sleeping when he's waking up. So let's see. Sky got darker. All right. Dang, I'm trying to, this last one, I don't think anybody gave me this last one either. But it's one more creepy monkey. I don't think I've had this exact dude on. The red-shanked douc langur. Yes, I remember it. I ran onto it on Reddit, so nobody gave it to me. Langur. Langur. How do we spell langur again? Was it with a U or an E? Langur. Langur. Yes, it was a U. Langur. Langur. So, I'm wondering if I had this on, but maybe it wasn't that cray. Maybe they really exaggerated it for the, so the face of this guy, it just seems like it's gotten another level of expression since last I checked. These really just look like something created from a movie to me. So this is the red-shanked douc langur. So how red are the legs? Some of the images show them really red. Some don't show them red. Is it red in some timelines, less red in other timelines? Did I have these on recently, but somehow they just look a little more the something with the face or something. Oh, and this one, I did not find any with this, like, apparently there's this weird white patch here, and I don't remember that. So there's red legs, then black, then white. The face is now like yellow, and I don't think I quite remember that. It seems like these guys have like kicked it up a little bit of a notch, and so there's apparently a red neckline under here, but then the whiskers are almost like feathers. This hat thing. I don't know, these guys. So there must be white like in here, and it looks like this area is getting white. Then this area is getting red. The chin frosting is getting more extreme. And then the expressions on these animals, their next level really, like, I feel like human consciousness has to be involved in this, because a lot of these monkeys have these really unique expressions that really just, I think they only look they look interesting to us. Like, too many of them look interesting to us. All right, so we've got white tails. So I don't remember them having like this white tails, and then the white here, and then they're getting even more patchwork than ever. This is like Clown World. So suddenly they're white just right here. It's like some little kindergartner got an outline of a monkey and then had a pile of crayons, and they went crazy with this business. I'm going to make this white and this red and this blue and this fancy monkey. So it's a red-shanked douc langur. So red and shanked is shanked. Douc is douc, and then langur. I think I had a bunch of these langurs on like a month ago or a couple weeks ago, but I don't think they were quite that wacky back then. I don't remember the white tails. Yeah, Dolly had braces. Yeah. Will that one ever stop? Will that one ever go away? I hope not, because I'm going to be upset if too many people went, oh yeah, Dolly always never had braces. What are you talking about? People in weird costumes. Yeah, and with the more and more creatures walking upright now, which is also creepy. I don't have anyone in my life right now. A friend of mine is a truther, but tries hard to find some kind of explanation, as far-fetched as it might be. I know. Even people who see the Mandelas do that sometimes, but I don't have anybody that I can talk to. I mean, that's part of why I did the show. Now, on the backstage lounge, it's a mixed bag. Some of them see Mandelas. Some are like, oh, they probably think we're a little whacked, but they have to kind of keep it. They can't say too much because there's kind of a lot of us, and like Dark Wolf, and a lot of the people who have the control, like the wrench for that system. It's not called a wrench, but they all see the Mandela, so they can't really get too angry about the Mandela chit chat. Does anyone see the Emmy movie? Yeah, I actually thought it was okay. I thought it was decent. I mean, it's not a blockbuster, and I'm sure there's things we'd improve, but like I don't really think CERN did it, or the quantum computer did it, but you got to have a plot line. They got to have some kind of denouement, some kind of ending. So I thought it was decent. The acting wasn't horrible. The plot line was okay. They had a lot of real Mandelas in there. I was actually really surprised at how little that contributed to knowledge of the Mandela. Because first we had, there was a Mandela Effect was in one of the new, not Twilight Zone, what is it? Mueller. Scully and Mulder, that's that show. They had one episode that was the Mandela Effect, and I thought for sure that a bunch of people would find out about the Mandela Effect and like come to social media, and we'd hear these people. Oh, I saw it on TV, but no, there were zero people that came from that. So then when the movie came out, well, maybe we'll get a few people who will watch the movie and then learn about this Mandela Effect thing. No. X-Files, yeah. So when X-Files episode came out, nobody. Then the movie came out, nobody. So I kind of feel like when the documentary comes out, I'm not holding my breath. There's the younger kids know about the Mandela already, and I guess they're going to like TikTok to talk about it. And maybe that's where all the excitement is the young kid TikTok land, and I'm not there, so I don't know about it, but I'm not really holding my breath on this dog. So for those of you who don't know, that there is somebody has said that they wish to do a documentary on the Mandela Effect. Now the guy, he seems to know a lot about it. He's very excited about it. I think that he will portray it in a way that we like. Now it is Hollywood, so you never can count your chickens before they're hatched in Hollywood, but he does seem like he's kind of, on our side, as they say. He doesn't have all the funding yet. I'm definitely not going to, again, assume it's going to happen until it's shot and editing, at least in editing, and none of that's happened. And he keeps saying he's going to get the funding. You don't have the funding until you have the funding. So I'm I'm not going to get too invested in it until I hear that filming has started and they have money for the final. But this is the dude that was involved with, I think his biggest show ever was that Alien Autopsy, that documentary Alien Autopsy. That was quite some time ago, and the whole industry is different now. And, you know, back then there was only so many TV channels, and that's all you had to watch. So I think it was a lot easier to have a really popular documentary back then because there wasn't really internet and all this other stuff to do instead. So I think he's going to have an uphill battle on this because a lot of people are viscerally avoiding even talking about the Mandela Effect. There's a deep-seated desire to stick their fingers in their ears and not hear about it. So they're going to be working against that. And a lot of the public is like that. So they don't want to know about it. And unlike ghosts and stuff, like, people will watch if they don't believe in ghosts, they'll still watch a ghost story or a ghost show. And even if it's just to say that's stupid, they will watch it. But Mandela is different because there is like a primordial avoidance in a lot of people that they don't even want to hear about it. They're angry. So that's going to make it difficult for them to do a documentary and have people watch it. Now, if they're just doing a corny TV episode of the X-Files, that's okay because it's not being pushed as real. It scares people, yeah, at a deep level. And ghosts might scare them at a more superficial level, like a roller coaster ride, but it doesn't threaten their whole concept of reality the way the Mandela does. And I think one of the reasons it scares them is that deep down, they know it's real. Deep, deep, deep inside, it is a reality that they know is real at a deep, deep level. But at a more superficial level, they don't want to know. It's a truth that they don't want to know. That they really, really, really don't want to know. And that's why they won't even look at it. It's kind of, you know, my last dog was like that. When something really scared her, I've never had a dog like this, but I've seen dogs like this and people. Like, if something really scares her, she's like, I can't look at it. Because just seeing it would scare her. And that's kind of how people are with the Mandela. Like, skateboarder scared her, and she, you know, I'm like, you're not allowed to bark at or pounce or try to kill a skateboarder. That was the rule. So her solution was, since she's not allowed to bark, pounce on, or try to kill a skateboarder, in order to control herself, she would just not look at it. Like, if she looks at it, she's going to lose her chitlins. And so, therefore, she would just look away. Like, I refuse to look, and if I don't look, then I won't have the urge to kill him. That's kind of how I feel like a lot of people are with the Mandela. I'm not going to look. I can't look. If I look, it'll be too scary. Capalicious got to run. Thanks for coming. At least I can talk to her about all kinds of truther stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice when at least people will consider stuff, you know. I don't know anymore what's going to be true, especially with the conspiracy theories, because facts are constantly changing. How can you even know what's true when the facts won't sit still? It's like, what's going to be true later, I feel like, is half the time. Like, how is this going to spin out? You know, what storyline is going to get written for this? The entire universe must be chancing. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I think I'm done. I did the langur. Yep. So I'm just kind of making it up now. I'm just rolling with it. JFK murder car had 2 seats. Yep. My friend discovers flat earth at the moment. I have accepted that she is in truth kindergarten. The sea woke her up. Yeah, the sea has woke up a lot of people. The big one was 9/11 back in the day. A lot of people woke up. But now the sea and the lockdowns and people are starting to figure out that it's, and that this was all this lockdowns and all this, like in Afghanistan, all those decades of money we threw into Afghanistan only to give all of our stuff to the Taliban to take over. I mean, like, hello, why did we do all that? What was the point? Um there's a lot of stuff where you're like, well, what? So flat earth, like I said, I'm kind of a simulation earth kind of person, so, or like group consciousness dream kind of person. So I don't know if the earth even has a shape. It's going to have the shape that the devs write for our storyline. So the official storyline is round earth, but who knows where it's going to go. My son, who was 31, initially saw the Mandela. He saw the earth had changed from the Sag arm to the Orion arm, but got so freaked he wouldn't talk to me about it and hasn't ever again. Yeah, that happened with a coworker. She remembered Arctica. And not a lot of people remember Arctica, the continent that once existed at the North Pole, but now does not, and hasn't in our lifetime or millions of years. But she remembered Arctica existing and being a continent. And when she found out it was gone, she looked really disturbed and then never wanted to talk about it again, like ever. And we just haven't. It was just too much. It was too much for her. So I was hoping that we would, you would think that people would be like, oh my God, Arctica's gone. And you would expect them to, like in TV shows where they run and shake people and go, oh my God, I can't believe it. No, that's just not what people do. They just clam up and blot it out of their head. Or at least a lot of them do. The majority, I would say, do that. Flat earth is a starting point. The reason I like flat earth is they just come up with, they're always looking for holes in the current narrative and they find them. Now, I usually don't agree that flat earth is the only explanation for that hole. They tend to only have one explanation that they run to. Like, NASA's lying, must be flat earth. Well, I know, like, NASA could be lying for a lot of reasons, let's see, some math doesn't work, must be flat earth. Well, your math might not be right, and some of that stuff's complicated enough that I'm not quite sure who is wrong and who's right. Some of their math does look very convincing, but I'm not so I do think they have points. Let's see, ISS video feed looks really faked due to a whole bunch of really fake, badly done special effects. That doesn't mean the earth is flat to me. It just means that NASA's lying about their ISS simulation. I remember Arctica. See, now that's interesting because I have seen that lately that people remember Arctica, Artica. And I guess that's another timeline because when I first learned of that Mandela, it was always, and for me, Arctica, Arctica. Now, maybe it's another country, it was Arctica, but I do see some people saying they remember Arctica. So was that a USA term or is it another country? Because if that's a USA term, then I'm going to say close, but not my timeline. And then I'm going to ask, okay, you remember Arctica? Was it a continent? So I've seen people who remember it as being a landmass, but not a continent. And they never heard of the word Arctica. And then there's people who remember it as a landmass and named Arctica, but not a continent. And then there are people like me that remember it as a landmass, named Arctica, and absolutely was a continent, Arctica and Antarctica, as the continent pairs, one on each end. So if you have to come from a long ways away, I think, to remember Arctica as a continent. Ham radio operators can bounce signals off the moon. Interesting. I don't remember that being possible way back. They would bounce it off the troposphere. How did they get out of the atmosphere and then bounce it and then... So, like, if you can bounce it off the atmosphere, then if you're trying to bounce it off the moon and the moon is outside the atmosphere, wouldn't it bounce twice? Wouldn't some of it bounce off the atmosphere and some bounce off the moon? And then how does it bounce off the moon and then still get back to the Earth? I guess the Earth is pretty big still. So if you bounce, isn't it at right angles? Would you still be on Earth? Seems like you'd go up and then it would just spiral out into space. I'm going to have to look on that math a little bit. But then if you bounce it off the atmosphere and some of it bounces off the atmosphere and some of it bounces off the moon, wouldn't you get like a whole bunch of, like at least 2 signals from the 2 bounces? Wouldn't you end up talking to somebody from the first bounce and somebody else from the second bounce? It's not a USA term, Arctica. Okay, could be then. I don't know what that continent was called in every country. Who made the Matrix computer simulation? Who or what? Yeah, I don't know. God, our subconscious, both, some third thing, aliens. You know, I don't know. A mix of all thems. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Aliens started it, and there was evolution. And then there was, I don't know. Sophia Green remembers like me. Arctica, that's one of my literally biggest Mandelas, is a whole continent gone. I guess South America is bigger, but it's still there. It's moved, but it's still there. Gabe Friend does not remember Arctica, so Sophia Green does. Wow, talking about continents got us sex trolls. I don't know how that worked. You know, I'm talking about all this stuff before that, you know, could be, you know, I used some words and we didn't get anything then, and now we got it. Arctica was a subcontinent with no land. What? Bill Knight, you don't have Arctica anymore? Oh my God, no, Bill, you were an Arctica guy. What the hell is a subcontinent? I've heard that term before, but I don't think I've had those. What's a subcontinent? What is a subcontinent? It was a subcontinent. Is a large area of land smaller than a continent. Well, I kind of guessed that much, yeah. A major subdivision of a continent. The Indian subcontinent. The Indian subcontinent. Well, the Indian subcontinent, isn't that just India? That's really not that useful a term, is it? What's the difference between the Indian subcontinent and like India? Many subcontinents are separate from the rest of a continent by geographical features. Okay. One of the most well-known subcontinents is the Indian subcontinent, which was once the country of India, but today includes Pakistan and Bangladesh. Okay, so maybe it's split off by mountains or something. All right, subcontinent. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've suspected for a while, Bill, that you and I have shifted differently. Because you were an Arctica guy before. At least some version of you was, which I apparently left that version behind. But you noticed a lot of changes in me too, so this can't be the world's biggest shock to you. Continent. Yeah, how did that end up getting us trolls? Moon bounce ham. I'm going to have to look that up and see how How did they bounce it off the moon and still hit the earth? I guess if it's close enough, it just feels like, I guess if, you're way on one side and you bounce it, you could catch somebody just on the other side before it flops off the edge of the earth. Assuming round earth. Thanks, JoJo's. Yeah, boot them people off. There's just been there was a huge ton of those porn sites. I would every day I would go on to the comments and report it. And it was the same ones over and over and over again. Hopefully they finally got rid of those people, because it was crazy. I'm like, I reported this 100 times. I don't know if they just keep making new accounts or what, but Arctica was there, but only as a permanent ice sheet. Seriously? So that's a new version for me. You remember Arctica, but not as a landmass. I don't know how it could be even a subcontinent, because it's not a landmass, right? So can you be a subcontinent? It didn't say anything about ice being a subcontinent, but only as a permanent ice sheet. So last I checked, it was semi-permanent, parts would melt and smooth around, and so the ice itself wasn't permanent. I don't know. It was kind of a gray area, but they would call it semi-permanent last I checked. That was at least a year ago, though. I don't think you could have a subcontinent, according to the current definition. You couldn't call the ice sheets a subcontinent. I don't think. Who knows what it was for your reality, though, because, we've seen how these terms shift. The whole definition of continent is quite different here than what I remember. I have been staying awake until sunrise lately and then sleeping just a few hours. Interesting. Yeah, I've been having trouble sleeping at night. I'm trying to get it back. I know Bill was, at least one version of Bill was having that problem. I get really sleepy at 5 p.m. a lot too. I've been trying to get it back. So I've been trying to go out into the light as soon as I wake up, red light. I bought some blue blocker sunglasses, but I forgot those. But they're mostly supposed to block out the blue to help you reset your clock and stuff. But I don't know, is it really all just, I don't know. It just seems weird that this is happening to so many people. So I feel like there's something spiritual involved maybe, but then it'll get blamed on physical things. But I do want to have friends, so in order to have friends, it's hard to stay up all night and then sleep all day. So I'm trying to shift it back so I can at least sleep from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something. I have friends that they go to bed at 8 p.m., sleep all night, 8 to 10 hours, wake up in the same position, and have no idea what a rest at night. Yeah, I've definitely gotten better with a bunch of diet changes and stuff I've had, and the vitamin B1 large amounts has helped a lot, and avoiding soybean oil has helped a lot, and so I do sleep decently now, but I've gotten better about waking up, and waking up it's still kind of slow, but I haven't done so well at having a normal schedule that's not a vampire. So that's one I'm trying to work on now. So I've been watching shows on how to fix your sleep schedule. And so the kind of story now is that, and maybe this is just how the body works here in this new timeline, but they're basically saying that what sets your biological rhythm is the near infrared light of the sun. So if you're in your house, a lot of the glass, the current newer glass blocks that near the NIR light. It's near infrared. So you can't really see it, but it does emit warmth. You'll feel it as warmth. And it is actually the majority of the light's rays are, of the energy of the light's rays are actually in this infrared. You can't quite see it range of radiation. And so the story now is that radiation that you can't physically see, but the sun imparts upon you, alters how it kind of sets your clock, basically. And it also is needed for the creation of melatonin that's intracellular. Now, at night, you have extracellular melatonin, and you can even supplement with that. But they're saying 90% of the antioxidant power and the rhythm setting power is this intracellular melatonin that's inside the cells that helps greatly with antioxidant inside the cell for the Krebs cycle and the energy cycle. And this is all fairly new stuff. I'm really suspicious that it wasn't in our old bodies, but it is considered a new discovery. So what they're saying is what you got to do is you got to get this near light, this infrared light. And you could either get like a red light therapy light, but they're a little bit weak and they're expensive, or you can just bop out there and look near the sun. Don't look right into it. Let the sun get on you. One thing about near infrared light is it does bounce around. So if you have like a shirt on, it gets through that. And so they're like, go out in the sun first thing when you wake up, preferably in the morning. Get some of the real light. You can look at the blue light and that stuff once you come back in. So I'm trying to do the real light, some red light therapy. Then you block the blue light at night. Like they're basically saying do like 5 or 6 things to kind of convince your schedule to go back to normal human hours. So that's what I'm trying. I'm going to give it a shot. Melatonin at night, block the blue light at night, see the blue light in the morning, see the near infrared light in the morning, get light on you first thing in the morning. The light also helps you create the intercellular melatonin that helps wake up your system. It helps detoxify the energy production, the mitochondria. And they're saying that if you take melatonin, that does not get into your cells. You have to actually have that created. So I've actually been thinking lately that this might be like the beginning of a storyline of us getting a lot of food from the sun. And then a lot of the sickness that's in our environment can get blamed on lack of sun and lack of red light therapy. And they're talking a lot about the energy strength of this near infrared light and how it's so much more powerful and therapeutic. So if we got to the point where they're saying that we actually get energy directly from this, that would be really interesting. So I'm just wondering if that's the beginning of that storyline. You need the light, you feel sick because you're not getting the light. We be like plants, go out and lay in the light. So it might be worth a shot. So melatonin, you take melatonin at night because night time is when the extracellular melatonin is spread through the body. And supposedly that is done because there is a lack of intracellular melatonin at night because there's no sun, right? So take your melatonin at night. I'm actually doing okay with sleeping. The problem is just I get sleep. I'm just not getting it at normal human hours. So I'm trying to shift that, It's been slow. I'm gonna stick to it though. I'm not gonna go I did it a week and it didn't work. I'm gonna clutch on and it's gonna be some months. I'm gonna really go to town on it. So For sleep, I would just say, sleep until you feel satisfied and wake up. If you're not sleepy after 2 hours, then get up. If you still feel really sleepy and you need it, then sleep. Let your body tell you. Vitamin D also from the sun, but you can take vitamin D. Now the thing is, you can't take infrared light, and infrared light is what apparently feeds this mitochondria and allows the creation of this melatonin inside the cell. But the good news is that you can wear clothes and still get it. And then they're saying that also the infrared is triggers certain processes in the back of the eye that also helps set this clock. And then there's all these things that are set from it, including release of nocturnal melatonin and release of cortisol, more cortisol during the day, to kind of get you up and get you going. And then he's saying if you don't have all these things in sync, then you have sleep inertia. So you wake up, but you don't feel awake. You feel brain foggy or slow, and that's me. So that's another reason why I'm working on this. The new body has new rules, apparently, on how to operate it. The old user manual is no longer effective. I only go to bed when I'm sleepy and I get it when I wake. Yeah, but the point would be that the idea is if you see a lot of this blue light at night, it's going to shift your natural cycle in an unnatural direction. So you get a lot of blue light at night, your body sees the blue light, your eyes see the blue light, and it sends the message that it is daytime. Don't be sleepy yet. That's the theory anyway. I don't know. That's the canon narrative for the current timeline. It does seem to correlate with what's been happening with me. So there's that. And maybe just believing something will work is enough to make it work. I don't know. So I'm going to try to do this stuff and believe really hard that if I really set my mind to it, it'll work. Because I really suspect now that desire and belief do drive a lot. So maybe it's like a ritual. You do these rituals. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. It makes sense. I want it to work. And maybe that's enough. I don't know. Won't hurt to try. Anyway, I think I'm about done. Time for me to hit the road. So thanks for coming. Sorry, the show was early by 2 hours. I apologize. Can I say I'm an airhead. I swore I wasn't going to do that again, and I didn't for several months, and then brain glitch happened. So my apologies about that. Anyways, if that ever happens again, just look at the start time it's supposed to be. So that's when I'll actually be here. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to all of you that it's relevant for. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.